everybody and welcome to Flock Talk. Today we're going to be doing a training tutorial on how to teach your bird to play basketball. This is a pretty simple concept, but it does take a lot of repetition. So if you aren't a very patient person, this may be a bit trickier for you to be able to teach your bird. Before you begin this entire process, your bird does need to understand how to play fetch. You can technically do it without it, but it makes it a whole lot easier if they understand that concept. So what you need for this tutorial is a basketball hoop, a ball, a bird, and treats, and a clicker if you use one. So to start off this, the first thing you're going to do is play fetch with your bird just at the beginning of the session to get them in the tone of realizing that this is the concept we're working with, just to make sure they're 100% understanding fetch and they know that this is what we're doing today, we are playing fetch. So once your bird is totally okay doing fetch, you're going to introduce the basketball hoop. This was ZB's first time seeing the basketball hoop since I just made it that same day, and I'm laying it down, and that's very important. You don't want it standing up and hovering over them. You want to lay it down, have it on the opposite side of the table, and just play fetch with them back and forth. And this is a pretty long process. You're just making sure that they're comfortable doing this concept around the object. You're letting them make the decision to go near the object, to back away from the object. You're letting them stretch their own comfort levels to decide how close they want to get to the basketball hoop. And once you've done that enough times and they're starting to show that they're comfortable and they're not really paying that much attention to the basketball hoop anymore, you've been able to play fetch closer and closer and closer to the hoop until they're no longer hesitating to go get the ball, until they're comfortable sitting right next to it. You can then begin to stand the hoop up on the table, and the first thing you do obviously is move the bird out of the way so that you're not moving a big scary object around them, but you're just going to carefully lift up the thing very calmly and place it down again on the opposite side of the table, and you're going to repeat the exact same process again of playing fetch. Again, what you're going to be doing is letting them make the decision on their own. You're not picking them up, moving them closer to it. You're just playing fetch with them, having some fun, getting them to not pay so much attention to the big scary hoop that's, hovering over them. And you're just going to play fetch back and forth, slowly moving at their pace, only moving closer when they're comfortable to move closer, letting them walk towards it instead of you forcing them towards it. And that's really important. You want to make sure that they are comfortable and they're not being submissive or just accepting the fact that they have to be near it in order to get a treat. Once they're totally comfortable with that, you can actually begin to teach basketball. And this concept in itself is pretty simple. You're going to pick up the hoop, so that way the hoop is laying in your hand. So that way when they're playing fetch, they have a better chance of being able to actually put it in the hoop. So you're just going to kind of slide it behind your pinky finger or whatever way is most convenient for you. And you're just going to put it on the edge of the table. And you're just going to play fetch with them a couple more times, letting them decide to walk up. For the first couple times, you're just going to reward them for putting it in the hand that has the hoop, because that's the right concept. They're bringing it towards the hoop. You're going to reward them for that, give them a small treat, say good, and you get them to do it a couple more times. And then you're going to try and increase the requirements. Now you're only going to reward them when the hoop is touched by the ball. So whenever they bring you the ball, it has to touch the hoop. It doesn't necessarily have to go into it, but it has to get closer to it in order to earn a treat. And you're going to repeat this process until they're 100% touching the hoop every time with the ball. And then you're going to up the requirements again, so they have to get the ball in the hoop in order to earn a treat. And for this, you'll notice that when ZB doesn't put the ball in the hoop, I don't give her a treat. I tell her, no, that's not the right thing, you don't get a treat, try again. I don't punish her or get mad at her, I just don't give her a reward, and she understands that doing this is no longer earning a reward. But in that one instance, when she does put it in the hoop, that does earn her a reward, and she gets the treat, and so she'll be more likely to repeat that again, even if it was accidental the first time. This is why it's important to use things called jackpots. If your bird accidentally puts the ball in the hoop, you give them a huge reward. It could be a better reward, it could just be more of the same reward, just that way they understand that doing this was absolutely correct, and that's a behavior they'll want to repeat again because it got them a really big treat. And then if they don't do what you want and they put it in your hand instead of the hoop, they don't get a treat at all. But it's important to move slowly and progress, so you start off just with them putting it in your hand, then touching the hoop, then going in the hoop. And you'll notice I'm giving her another signal here when I'm doing this, is I'm tapping the hoop with my finger. If you've done enough training with your bird up to this point, they'll understand that your hands moving and fingers are generally signals on what they're supposed to do, and they'll start to understand that when they see this finger, it has to do with the object that I'm touching. And it may take a little while to catch on, but as you can see here, ZB catches right on, and she starts putting the ball right in the hoop, even if I need to help her a little bit of moving my hand to help her get it in. And so you're just going to repeat this process as many times as it takes. And as soon as they're reliably getting it into the hoop, you're going to lift the hoop up a little bit. So now it's hovering over your hand. It's still between your fingers, it's still on the edge of the table. And now they just have to lift their heads up a little bit more to get it in the hoop. You're going to repeat this process, only reward them when they get it in the hoop. And once they're reliably doing that without a problem, you're going to lift it up a little bit more so that way it's pretty much level with how it would be sitting on the table. And you're just going to do this again. That way they're lifting their head up a little bit more in order to get it in the hoop. Don't reward them when it doesn't go in the hoop. Repeat this process over and over and over again until they're reliably getting it in the hoop and they're totally comfortable being near it. Next, what you're going to do is start with the hoop pretty low to the ground, but this time it's over the table, not your hand. So they're no longer fetching it to your hand. And you're just going to do it like that again, same process, starting low, and you're just going to get them to try and put it in the hoop, maybe tapping the hoop to show them that this is where it's supposed to go, and you're going to give them rewards. You may have to back up a few steps when you switch to this step, because now your hand's no longer there. They may take a little while to catch on, so you may need to go back to rewarding them for just bringing it near the hoop or touching the hoop with the ball rather than getting it in the hoop every time. So you're going to gradually reward them until they're completely able to get it in the hoop without a problem. And as you can see here, ZB catches right on, she's able to put it right in the hoop again, and it's fully comprehended. The concept's all done on that part. So what I'm going to do then is lift the hoop up just a little bit more so it's pretty much level with the table again, and I'm doing the same thing. She's getting the concept, she's lifting her head up and putting it in the hoop, and you can see that she's pretty much got a full understanding of this concept. It's just a matter of her being able to lift her head up high enough to get it in the hoop. And once that's understood, I'm now going to put the hoop on the table. And this part again can be quite tricky, but at this point they should be fairly accustomed to what's going to go on. So I'm using my hand as a hint to help show her that the hoop is over here now, this is where it should go. And she catches on really quick and she's able to put it in the hoop over and over again until she can run all the way across the table to get the ball in the hoop. And now gradually over time, you don't want to be tapping the hoop every single time you want them to go in. So you're going to gradually ease off. I'm going to only be tapping it with one finger. Then the next time I'm going to tap it maybe just a little bit less, or I'm not going to tap it at all. I'm just going to ease off that hand signal until the prop becomes the signal. So every time that she sees the ball in the hoop, she's going to understand to bring the ball over to the hoop instead of looking for me to give her a signal. You don't necessarily have to do it this way, but it makes it a whole lot easier when you don't have to constantly be cueing them for something that doesn't necessarily need a cue, because the props themselves should be able to tell the bird what to do with the prop. So as you can see here, I'm easing off my hand cue. I'm not tapping the entire time. I'm only tapping, alternating taps. I'm not tapping at the beginning. I'm slowly beginning to not tap as much until she completely understands that just seeing the hoop is the cue. That seeing the hoop means put the ball in the hoop. From there, once the bird understands to put the ball in the hoop, you can begin to make them walk a little bit farther each time to get the ball until they're pretty much playing fetch with the basketball hoop. So they're walking farther and farther away from it until they can run all the way across the table to be able to get the ball and bring it back. So that is the entire concept of how to teach your bird to play basketball. It's pretty cute, pretty quick to teach. ZB learned this in about 1, maybe 2 sessions, and that was it. So that was 1 day's worth of work, and she has a full understanding of how to play basketball. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If there are any training tutorials you would like to see me do in the future, feel free to leave a comment down below or send me a message, and I will gladly get to it as soon as I can. And thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!